Welcome to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprofit.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey, and today we're getting into our running back ranks for 2020. We've done a bunch of lists here in the off season, and now we're only 2.5 months away from fantasy football drafts now for this year. So we're going to start doing some ranks here. We got our running backs today. We're going to go through, well, not exactly sure what we're going to end up with. We'll see how it goes. See how many we end up with. We have quite a few ranked, so we can go deeper into the ranks. And we'll probably list at least, before we're done, we might not talk about everybody in depth, but we'll probably list at least through like 30 or so, where it's really like, people that are starters most likely. So we'll go through all that. Before we do that, make sure you guys go check us out on Instagram at Fantasy Football Profit or the website fantasyfootballprofit.com. And you can go follow us on Twitter as well at the FF Profit. So Jeff, we're going to jump into this thing. We'll just start from the top. And we really don't need to waste any time or spend any time on the top three. We had the same exact top three. So this is how we're going to do it. We'll basically go in order of the players, our consensus ranks. Then we'll talk about where we both have them. But 1, 2, and 3, we have McCaffrey, Barkley, Zeke. We each had the same. I don't think there's any question with that. And I think, honestly, people might just put Saquon ahead of Christian McCaffrey if they want. Sure, if they want to do that, I'm fine with it. I don't really either. Whatever you guys want to do is fine with me. That's just how we have him. McCaffrey, Barkley, Zeke. I think those are pretty clear top three.
Yeah, I don't think that there is going to be much much change from site to site or podcast to podcast or pretty much anyone that plays fantasy. I think these will be probably their top three unless you're trying to make a splash. Yep. But, for the exact reasons, we've seen them all. They all have been incredibly good. Saquon, the only knock against him would be his team last year, but they helped rebuild that offensive line a little bit, and another year for Daniel Jones will only help. So I think you get any three of these guys and you're locked and loaded. It's great. We don't have to waste a whole lot of time on it.
So that's tier 1 for sure. Tier 2, though, I think it's a pretty decent tier. I think it's pretty much consistent with how we have them in our order actually after consensus. So it's Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara. I would say that's pretty much consensus tier 2 at this point. Not exactly that order, but that's tier 2. And so, our consensus put Cook, Henry, Kamara. Jeff, you went Cook, Kamara, Henry. I went Henry, Cook, Kamara. So we were all a little different there. And so you have Henry down at 6. I have him at 4. So Henry's the biggest one to me. It's like, I don't know what to do. I decided I actually moved him up to 4 here ahead of Cook, only because what he did last year, towards the end of last year and all that, it was so impressive that despite my hesitation with him, I feel like I have to put him up there. And there's definitely hesitation. I don't feel great about it at all. We've seen a lot of what Derrick Henry's done in the past, and it wasn't always great, and he never always lived up to the expectations until last year. And I have a hard time with it, but I feel like he was good enough for a long stretch of time that he should probably be here. But I know why you have him at 6. I get it. And part of it, we're doing like half PPR ranks. I didn't even look into it as much. Kamara could jump up, but Henry was so good. And I don't know. What made you put Cook and Kamara ahead of him?
Yeah, look, if you wanted to put Derrick Henry at number 4, I really don't have any issue with it. He was incredibly impressive. They finally gave him the bulk of it. They weren't trying to split it up too much between him and Deion Lewis. My only thought, and I guess, I'll say it right away, you can almost make this argument for every single running back that, any three of these guys. But really, Derrick Henry is a little more spotty, right? We've seen Tennessee give him the ball a lot, and then we've seen them try to take it away from him. My only worry is a large back like that. If you ride him the entire season, when you really need him, will he be available? It looks like they're trying to beef up that pass game a little bit. Obviously, A.J. Brown is very capable of shouldering the load. Tannehill looks like the real deal. So, I put him there because I don't think he is as good in the pass game compared to Kamara and Cook. And at some point they might want to kind of take the burden away from him so you can rest him up and make sure that he's healthy for the playoff push. So, I mean, really, it's a very shaky argument, but when you're splitting hairs between three guys of this caliber, that's kind of what it comes down to. So, Derrick Henry just not quite as good catching the ball, and I worry that because of that, his touches will actually not be quite as good as, say, a Cook or a Kamara, even though you could say Cook has injury problems, and I would be okay with that too. So, but in my mind, this is how I would actually draft them. So that's why I ranked them this way.
And Kamara, we just hope we hope he has the bounce back. I think he'll be fine. Last year was not great, but I'm not worried about that, honestly. He's been too good. But I think I'm happy with any of these guys. It's a good tier. They're a good tier 2 of running backs. I think when we get through these top 6 like we just did, I think all these guys are pretty good, and I feel decently confident in all of them. I think after 6 is where question marks start already.
I would agree. And just to get a general idea of where you look at as far as running backs compared to the rest of the pack, would you actually draft? Are these going to be your first 6 players on your board, or would a wide receiver actually slip in there?
I think they would be my top 6, and I think
okay.
Michael Thomas might go next for me.
Okay, that's exactly where my mind is at. So I just wanted to get a lay of the land.
But it's really only Michael Thomas though. If I were to throw a receiver, I don't feel confident in a lot of the receivers. We'll get to their ranks next week, but I don't feel great with a lot of them. But Michael Thomas would go here, but I don't feel okay. We'll get these running backs here, and I like some of them, but would I say I'm overly confident in them? Not necessarily. So I'm going to go. I'm trying to think. Okay. So I'm going to take these next 6 guys because we rank them kind of all over the board here, Jeff. We're not close really on a lot of these. We're close, but a little strange. Close, but 3 to 4 spots difference is pretty significant, I think, when you're up here. So I'm going to list them and how the consensus worked out first, and then we'll talk about where we had them. So starting at 7 is Aaron Jones. You got Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders, Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb, Austin Eckler. So Aaron Jones. Oh, man. So you can tell we're all over, right? So Aaron Jones came in 7th for us, which is funny because you have him 9th and I have him 8th. So he actually jumped up a spot just based on the differences in the next players. And Jones he's good. I worry. I do, even though I ranked him, 8th, I do still worry about the touchdowns and how many he had of them. And if that drops, is there a problem all of a sudden? He had a couple of big games where he had a bunch of touchdowns and really jumped up his number. So there's some worry there with Jones in that regard, but I still like the player. I think he's going to be fine. And what they drafted, A.J. Dillon, if I'm remembering correctly right now, I'm not worried about that too much. So he already had Jamal Williams anyway. So
yeah, I don't worry about it besides for the fact that I'm worried that A.J. Dillon will be a reason why Aaron Jones gets a few less touchdowns because A.J. Dillon is a giant running back. So I'm terrified that they would use him on the goal line.
True.
But even with saying that, I still had Aaron Jones at number 9. I don't think he's going to completely fall off a cliff, but he's a back-end running back 1 for me and for you as well.
Yep.
So I have the same concerns, but until I know more, I'm going to go with, he was spectacular last year. So I'm not going to have him, as a running back 2 just because I'm worried.
And then I'll go 8 and 9 here. We went Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders. It actually ended up being a tie. So you had Sanders 7 and Jacobs 8, and I had Jacobs 10 and Sanders 11. So you're just slightly higher on these guys than me.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You are. They're good second-year backs. They really are. I think that's the only thing is I think we both jumped them up actually decent for, they were good last year. Maybe they weren't amazing. Jacobs, let's see here. Jacobs is currently consensus 9 running back. So I have a 1 below. You have a 1 above. And then Sanders is currently the consensus 13 running back right now. So you're up 6 spots on Sanders from the consensus, and I'm 2. So you really, really liking Miles Sanders right now.
I do. I really like him. First of all, I don't think they did anything to that team in the draft or offseason that would hurt his chances. I think it only increases his ability to get the job done. By the end of the year, he was the primary guy, right? I know that there was a lot of injuries on there, that maybe their wide receiving crew wasn't up to snuff, so maybe they had to give him a few more touches. But, Howard is out of there, and he is the go-to guy. And not only was he effective running the ball, but he was very effective catching the ball too. I think that he is going to play a huge role in this. And I mean, he looked every bit the part that, everyone said he could be a very, very talented back. He was that talented. And he, just to give you a lay of the land, I think last year he finished 15th as far as the running back goes. Josh Jacobs finished 14th. And playing less games. But at the same time, Miles Sanders was brought on slowly. He doesn't really have that many rushing touchdowns last year. I think those numbers will go up. And if he was 14th without that, 15th without that, I think the sky's the limit for this guy. So that's why I think he is safely in the top 10. And I put him 7th because between catching the ball, running the ball, his touchdowns will go up. There's not a whole lot of things to dislike about the guy right now.
Yeah, There was, was it last week? There started to be some slight rumors about they were looking at Carlos Hyde. Nothing came from that. Even if they were to do something like that, would that even worry you if they threw Carlos Hyde out there?
No.
So I figured.
No. He would be a backup capacity. No running back is an island unto himself, right?
Yeah.
Everyone gets touches taken away from them at some point. But I think Miles Sanders, you will see a giant jump. What was it? Just to make sure his stats, he had 179 rushes last year, 179. So you can see that number can easily go up. I mean, a lot of these guys are, 250 easily. And then he also had 50 catches. So on 63 targets nonetheless. So he has good hands, and he caught 3 touchdowns, rushed 3 touchdowns, 800 yards rushing, 500 receiving. So very balanced back. And especially with this attack in Philly where they really have no issue using whoever is good on their team. I mean, see how they have demonstrated that by throwing it to the tight ends when their wide receivers weren't playing well. And then they did draft a few wide receivers, which actually should help. I don't think that's a negative. So for all those reasons, Miles Sanders is incredibly solid this year, and that's why I'm slightly, ahead of the curve, or I'm just a little more stargazing at him. I'm not sure.
So then next up for our 10th player is Joe Mixon. I had him 7th, and you had him in 12th there.
Okay.
So where's the concern? I mean, there's concern. I get it. I mean, even holdout concern, just in general.
Yes, and I will let you kind of amp him up because I think you were correct. Right now, he falls 12th on my list because if I had a draft today, and this is kind of how I'm looking at it, there are a few concerns. Even holding out, like you said, he's going to be on a worse team. He was productive even with a bad team, so I think it will get better than last year, and he still did a good job. But that is why I think that there is a lot of talent in running back, and Mixon is in a worse spot. And from what I'm hearing, I just want to make sure that he is there to play this year before I put a lot of draft capital into it.
I get it. I guess I'm more ranking just on. I'm gonna just put it that he's available. Let's say I'm not that concerned, I guess, with the holdout potential. I just don't think it's gonna happen. I guess my only reason I don't necessarily believe it might happen because it really hasn't worked out for Bell and Gordon. There isn't a good history there right now, is it? It's just not been working out for these guys.
I would be shocked if he decided to really hold out because it is not played out well. And as you go forward, it's only going to get worse because teams have now seen that.
And so we'll see how it plays out. I mean, if Burrow is good, really good right away, that it could help Mixon a lot. If he struggles, it's going to be tough. It's a wait and see. It's never know with a rookie quarterback and how that offense is going to play out. So Mixon 10th for us. And then 11th, we put Nick Chubb, who was 11th for you and 9th for me. This might actually be lower than people expect and lower than we even would have expected. But I guess for me personally, the Kareem Hunt factor, it does factor in here. It's part of it for me because Kareem Hunt is a good running back and they re-signed him. I don't think he's going to be used. He's not going away. And I do think that does take a little bit away from where Nick Chubb could be because I would definitely probably have him at least 7th at the very least for me. If there was no Kareem Hunt there. And I think it's why he falls. He falls for me. It's just Kareem Hunt. That's really the only reason he drops slightly for me right now.
Yeah, me too. I think you said it perfectly. Kareem Hunt is a really good running back, and he is there. They did use him slightly at the end of the year. I think that Delvin Cook. I think that Nick Chubb should have Cleveland in general has a lot to look forward to because they really did a nice job addressing the offensive line. And Nick Chubb was still a beast, even with a bad offensive line last year. He is amazing after, yards after contact. He's just a very good running back. But when you have two guys of that caliber, you're going to use them both. That passing game should be a little better. He finished 6th last year. So in my mind, I'm looking at these other guys that have no one like looming in the background. And that is that's why I put him at number 11. He's just outside my top 10 because, man, if you had Nick Chubb, which is going to be also, if I'm drafting, you almost have to get Nick Chubb. Like if you're going to have Chubb, or if you have Chubb, you almost have to get Kareem Hunt. Yeah. I'm getting so confused right now, worked up. You almost have to. So it also, that plays into my mindset. So 11th for me, but he's as talented as anyone else on this list. He really is.
So next up, 12th for us is Austin Eckler. You had 10th, actually. And I had 14th. Would you really draft him over Chubb and Mixon?
Right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest. There's a few people that can move around. Mixon and Chubb are both on my short list. Like I like them more than I like Josh Jacobs and even maybe like Aaron Jones definitely. But right now, there's more worry about them. Austin Eckler, I keep going up and down on. And my big thing with him is until I know that Justin Jackson is a legitimate threat to him to take away carries, he is going to get a lot of catches, right? So I think he's just safe. I think he's an incredibly safe running back to get. They're going to need him there. So right now, that is more about just taking the best player possible that is in the best position to succeed, even though I can't imagine them just loading him up and him becoming a workhorse, which Nick Chubb and Joe Mixon can and / probably will be.
All right, so next up, we'll say Kenyan Drake was 13th for us, 14th for you, 12th for me. I'm not actually 100% sure how I feel about Drake for next year. I think he's good. He played good with Arizona, but I'm not sold on anything yet. So I don't know. It's interesting. This is one where I'm going to have to think more about him and where I really want to rank him as we go on.
What
don't have strong. I don't have a strong feeling right now, honestly.
No, I know. And what do we really know about him? He's never put together an entire year, and yes, he's looked amazing in flashes. But he did that same thing in Miami. So I think that this is his shot to kind of be that guy, to be the running back number one. But what is the offense? I mean, we've had 1 year of the showdown in Arizona, so it does worry me. I think that he might be the one where you have the biggest argument against. I think you'll see him in the top 10 in some people's. I think you'll see him in the 20s in some people's. And I think that is the correct way to look at him because we don't know. He is a lottery ticket right now. So when we hear more, that's when I'll kind of move him up or down.
Yep, I'm there with you. So next up, we got the 14 and 15, which is a good grouping. Le'Veon Bell, Todd Gurley, the former stars who have fallen off slightly. And you had Bell 13. I had him 17th. In Gurley, we both had 15th. And again, this is both just we don't know what they're going to do this upcoming year. Neither of them were great last year, and Bell doesn't have the same concerns Gurley does with Gurley's knee. Maybe it really is truly just a problem. Bell doesn't have that concern. He has more of a concern of his team, I guess you would say. But maybe, being back now, not a full year off anymore, Bell should be better. But they're another interesting group. I don't know how they're going to play out, but I don't mind either of them as my number 2 running back. I'm actually quite okay with it.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think both of these guys will be overlooked as well, which I really like. Gurley, I'm hoping that he returns to form, right? I know that everything is still going to be about how he doesn't look the same, how he's injured, blah, blah, blah. And those are legitimate concerns to have. But at the same time, he could also be Todd Gurley on a path to vengeance because people doubted him so much because we know that Rams offense wasn't all that good last year. And he still got a lot of carries. So I don't think he's completely fallen off. And I think that Atlanta is a good place for him to reestablish himself. But we really don't know. I mean, once again, he's a little bit of a lottery ticket, but I think at 15, which I have him, I think that is just a good spot where where you're going to get the most bang for your buck, and if he does fall off, then you're still not hurt that much. But Le'Veon is actually, and once again, if you follow us on Instagram, you will know that Le'Veon Bell was one of the players that I loved. I put him at number 1 because of where he's going right now. I am so far above where people are wanting to draft him. But if you look at his numbers, yes, his yards per carry was atrocious. It was really bad. It was nearing 3 yards a carry. I mean, it was 3.2. But saying that, he did come off of a full year of not playing football. He had a very bad offensive line that they did once again, kind of like Cleveland, they did a good job of restructuring. You have another year with Darnold. It's kind of the same, the same argument I would make. But on top of that, you already know what kind of commitment they have to him. I mean, he had 245 rushes last year, even though he wasn't doing that well, even though they were getting stuffed. Can you imagine if he started doing a little bit better? He only had 3 touchdowns. Right. And this guy still finished just outside the top 10 because he stayed healthy and because of the sheer volume. So I love him. I think he is an incredible pick. I have him at 13. I think I would love to get him there.
And he's actually consensus ranked number 20 right now. So he's down there a little ways.
Oh, yeah. I really do. I think he would be a game changer if you could get him. I mean, if you really can get him at 20, in the draft every time. I mean, I'm going to be taking him before that because you just know what you're getting from him, and he's going to be your running back too.
And then after Bell and Gurley, 16th for us is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Okay. 18 for you, 13 for me.
Woo,
13,
buddy.
I have him up there a little bit. I just think the situation is just that great. I really think it's going to play out well for him. But then again, it's a big question mark when you're drafting a running back this high and a rookie running back this high who, even though, he was the number 1 back taken in the draft, but does anybody really believe that? Like he was the most talented? I mean, Kansas City, I guess, did. Or maybe they just thought he fit their offense best. Because, I mean, Jonathan Taylor and Swift and Dobbins, I feel like people thought were better than him. But yeah, he's 16th for us. I mean, the 18th is still a solid rank you have him at. It's not crazy but I will say he is currently, let's see here. Where do I have him? He's 14th currently in consensus.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I do get it. I worry. I don't know. And I've laid this argument out before. I know that people are probably just starting to get back into fantasy football, so I will make a shortened version again. But last year, they won the Super Bowl. I think we can all agree that their plan of attack worked pretty darn well. They had Damian Williams and they had LaShawn McCoy. Do I think that Edwards-Helaire is probably better than them? They don't have McCoy anymore, but is he better than Damian Williams right away? Yeah, probably. He probably will get more carries than him. But last year, if you look at the way they split up the ball, man, I mean, they pass all over the place, but even rushing it, LaShawn McCoy got 101 carries, Damian Williams got 111. They both, averaged good yards per carry, and they both had, almost 5 touchdowns rushing. So they split the ball up, and they kept people guessing, right? Yes, a few years back, they had Kareem Hunt, and he was the bell cow. But he established himself there when Alex Smith was at quarterback. It was not Mahomes. So my worry is, yes, he's very good. Yes, he's in a great position. But will he kind of blow the lid off of it and score a ton of touchdowns? Are they going to make him the bell cow where he gets 200 carries? I'm kind of hesitant to go out on a limb and say that right away, because even if he is their better back, it does not mean that they want to wear him out or, that they don't have a million weapons on this offense. They're going to, curtail everything to a rookie. So I think that people have to just pull back a little bit on the expectations and say, what if he got 180 carries? What does that look like? But we'll find out. I mean, with that offense, he really could score, 2 touchdowns a game and just make me look like an idiot. But it does worry me a little bit that people are like inching him up to the, within the top 10.
And then, next up, we put Chris Carson at 17, and
safe.
Yeah, I don't have a great feeling for this, right? I mean, Seattle actually, there's been rumors they've been looking at like Devontae Freeman recently, and even Carlos Hyde, and I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a great a great feel for. I never have had a great feel for Chris Carson. I don't know. I just don't love it.
I get that, but
he's
also
been good.
think
I do know that. There's some
pick.
Chris Carson
I do
fans
like
out there,
Chris
but
Carson
something about it, I'm just not.
Because I think he'll get a lot of carries, and I think they're probably looking at another running back.
I don't feel like I'm ever going to draft him.
A lot of injuries occurred. Rashad Penny they drafted him relatively high, and he hasn't been able to play that much football yet because of injuries. So and after that, I mean, who is, Homer Travis? Trevor Holmes? I don't even know who the guy is. So it really comes down to that. That I think they need to load up that backfield because they know injuries occur and they run the ball a lot. So I do think Chris Carson is definitely the guy there. So I don't have any issue with him being in the top 20. And if someone wanted to put him a little bit higher, because I do think he is relatively safe, I would be okay with that as well.
Yep. All right, let's see here. Number 18, Devin Singletary came in number 18. He was 16 for you. I have him down at 20 yet, but I mean, I love Devin Singletary.
I was going to say blasphemy, Craig.
I do love Devin Singletary. So, that's nothing wrong with that pick. I can't believe you have him that much higher than me. And yeah, that's pretty solid spot for him because he is currently consensus wise, let's see here, 24th. How about that?
Yeah, once again, I think that's a mistake. It's not I don't think we got overly aggressive with it. But, are people really worried about the rookie they drafted? I'm not sure what they're worried about. He looked the part. He is definitely the number one running back. And that is a young offense that looks like they have a few more tricks up their sleeve. So hopefully that'll loosen up things to, bigger holes to run through with Diggs, stretching the field, whatnot. So I don't know. I just really like Devin Singletary. I can't throw you too many stats at you because he's only played 1 year and he wasn't even the starter to begin last year. But I really like him.
All right, next up after Singletary, it's Fournette, who is 19th for us, 20 for you, 16 for me. I think this is he should be higher in a way, but there's too much uncertainty, and team was trying to trade him, and it doesn't have a good feel, right? I mean,
right. Only reason he is at 20 for me is because his own team doesn't want
exactly.
him. Why would I feel good about him if they don't want him?
Yeah, that's why he falls. But you know what? He could become a good value. I'm not hating the value here. I think this would be pretty good if you got him further down like this. But he's actually 15th consensus right now. But it's just too much going on there right now. There really isn't anybody behind him though. So, if it all plays out and he plays, I think he might be all right. Then let's get some more here. We'll knock out some of these here as we wrap this thing up here because this will be 20. And it actually it's Mark Ingram at 20. 19 for you, 22 for me. A lot lower than what he finished last year. Dobbins behind him. Getting older. We'll see how it goes. Melvin Gordon's 21, 22nd for you, 19 for me. Philip Lindsay's still there, so that's probably part of it, I would say, right?
Oh, yeah. Another good 1-2 punch. And we don't really know what the offense is going to be quite yet, even though I like how they built it. I still have to see if all the parts work together.
Yep.
But yeah, Melvin Gordon, I think one of his great attributes, though, was the fact that he was able to get in the end zone a lot in the past, 2 seasons when he was playing. So my biggest fear is for whatever reason they don't get in the red zone a lot, and that could really hurt his value. So that is why he is dropped. I got to see him, again, on the Broncos doing his thing.
Don't mind the value, though. Again, that's another decent pickup. Don't, yeah. David Johnson ended up being 22nd for us. Again, this could be good value. A lot of this, I'll say this, but I also think he could be done. So, he
is another one that is going to be the lottery ticket, right? And you're going to hear very, very different views on him. I think the best view, and where do you have him? I have 23rd.
21st.
Okay, 21st. So we're in the same boat. Is you get to the end here when it is the number one running back that you trust at the end of that's where you slot this guy in and hope he does well if you have to take him. Because, everyone after this is either does not have our confidence or has serious competition in the backfield.
Yep. Next up after David Johnson, we went with Jonathan Taylor is 23rd. So, a good spot there for the rookie. We'll see how he plays. Marlon Mack's still there, though. So that's why he'd probably be a lot higher if there's no Marlon Mack.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
I'm already high on the kid, so I can't imagine if Marlon Mack was traded or something.
Darius Geiss is 24th for us, which was 26 for you, 25 for me. Consensus-wise, he's 31, so obviously we're still above on Darius Geiss. I believe this guy's talented. I'm not 100% going to, just label him injury-prone yet. If he gets hurt this year, yeah, sure, give that label to him, right? But we'll see. I'm still there. I still think he's going to be really good. James Conner is 25th for us. If people have listened to this before, I'm just not a James Conner fan.
Where do you have him? Because I have him at 25th.
I have him 26, but he's still the starting back. He has to be in this range.
Right.
It's impossible not to have him here. David Montgomery came in 26, which was actually I had him higher. I had him 23rd. Don't love it, but I know he's the guy there. He's the guy. Again, as of right now, there really isn't anybody to challenge him for. I don't believe. So he's going to be there. He's 30th for you, so you're really all out. You're done with him. And I get that. I don't really think he's great. I don't think he's a wonderful player. So he's.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and to be fair to you, I'm probably low on him. I mean, last year he was the guy. Once again, he got a lot of carries and everything, but he finished 22nd. So it wasn't like I'm even below what he did last year, which is I don't know if it's smart or not, but there's a lot of guys that just jumped him, and I don't think he's necessarily going to get that much better, and that is why I put him at 30.
All right, 27 for us was Raheem Moster, and this guy, he could be one that jumps up. It just, we don't know how the 49ers backfield is going to play out. That's the only reason he's down. He could easily jump up and be a lot more valuable if he plays like he did towards the end of the season. So,
and I would love to see it too, especially, I mean, he is one Tevin Coleman injury away from being just splitting carries, because they don't have Breda anymore, but they do have Jeff Wilson, who was a fine back when he was able to play. So, I mean, they gave so many people different carries. So that is my only worry, is they're so dominant and they spread the ball around so much that if Raheem is really the guy and he is going to get, I won't even say the bulk. If he is just going to be more than 50%, then he definitely deserves to be higher than what I have him ranked currently.
And then we'll end this off. We'll get to 30 here as we go. Deandre Swift at 28, Cam Akers at 29, and Sony Michelle is 30 for us. So Sony Michelle, he should be higher, it feels like. He really doesn't feel like he has the competition, but he does because they just play it weird there in New England, don't they? He never gets the work we feel like, you feel like he should or maybe could get, but it just never plays out that way. So he's 30th. But the other two, the rookies ahead of him, we'll see how that plays out. Again, rookies with Swift has Kerryon Johnson there. Akers, I mean, he does have players. He has Darrell Henderson. He has Malcolm Brown. They're not going to go away. So people are going to have Akers. I feel like they're going to have Akers higher. Oh, he's 28th right now, so we're not off on him too far. And then Swift.
I'm surprised on that one. I really did think that people were going to just give him the starting position right away.
No, they have not done that yet. So, all right, that's 1 through 30 for us at running back. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of movement yet, but I also think there is some value this year. When you get further down, I feel like it falls off from the sure things quick. I feel like last year we felt like there was more sure things, but I feel like it falls off from that quicker, but there's still a lot of just good value here. Good guy, a lot of players that could jump up. I think there's a lot of that in here. You can get really good running back 3 on your team, I believe, this year. And somebody from this 20 to 30 range is going to jump up and be up there. I just don't know who that is yet. Somebody will. But yeah, I had to get into rankings. It felt weird. I still feel like I'm off on my ranks. I don't know where to put some of the guys. I'm gonna be tweaking this forever.
It is tough. What is the one guy in your top 30 that has the biggest ability to go up or down for you? Who is the biggest wild card that you kind of had to just put in there?
It's honestly, if I just have a feeling, no surprise for people. It's if Darius Geiss looks healthy in the preseason, I don't see how I don't jump him way up. I think the guy's that good. But the only reason he's 24th or 20, whatever, he's 25th is because we just worry about injury. But if he's healthy and it's having a good, good training camp, good preseason, I mean, he's going to fly up the board for me. And the same thing, it's going to end up being like Jonathan Taylor would be the other one. If it's clear early on that Jonathan Taylor is just ahead of Marlon Mack and Marlon Mack is just not going to really eat into Taylor's workload, Taylor's going to jump way up too. Those two are going to jump way up. They have the biggest potential to. And then I'll say guy who can jump down is going to be, I guess, Chris Carson can be my guy who can fall down though if they sign like a Devontae Freeman and you see that playing out. And I'm all aboard the Geiss bandwagon here. I'm one of the only ones left, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right in saying that he is not injury prone, but he is definitely injury something like
right?
Injury adjacent. I'm not sure what it is yet, but I know why people worry about it because he has. I mean, how many games has he played in the past 2 years? It is not a lot. 5 maybe?
Yep. But all right, that will do it for today. We'll be back next week. We'll talk some wide receiver rankings next week for you guys. Talk to you then.